to the question that I have, and this is for Malcolm and Mr. Leveret. Would you guys, once you got into office or back in the office, would you guys entertain the idea of reaching out to even students who graduated from the university, who's kind of in the prime of their careers, and set up a program that we can learn about what's coming to Prairie View, what's being developed, that where we can take some of our disposable income and say we want to develop in housing, we want to develop in a franchise there. Because a lot of students that have graduated who've been out of school for 15, 20, 30 years, we have disposable income that we're looking to invest in something. And we want to invest in something that's growing. Like me, I'm looking for that next opportunity to invest in a place. And Mr. Leveret and I, we've been talking about me coming down to Prairie View and investing in property, investing in possibly a franchise and stuff. So could that be a committee set up where you could reach out to graduates from business to communications to finance to say there's business opportunities here, because we don't know. I'm thinking, even after all these years, I'm thinking Prairie View is just a small town and they like staying in a small town. So my thing about it is that if there could be somewhere where we can come and get that information and say, oh, there's a store coming here, there's a new development coming. How do we get something around that development? There's a new strip mall coming. Okay, there's an opportunity for someone to invest in a storefront. What do you guys think about that?
Well, let me say this to you, Charles. I'm glad you mentioned you and I have had that discussion. Even though I'm not in office right now, because of the experience that I've had and because I'm still involved, right now we have already I'm linking young people like yourself already linking up with developers. Now, I always say this, and I said this, and I think Malcolm has heard me say this, and probably and Mike too. The first thing is we have people here who are capable, even if you are not a major developer. The city has the right to put something in place to say, if you are an entrepreneur and you are qualified, they do it in other cities and it's successful, to where a major contractor can come in and do work. Well, guess what? The city can command that a percentage of that work be set aside to include the local participation, qualified local participation, not somebody who's a friend of mine, but who qualifies according to the standards that's necessary. Being a part of Houston Galveston Area Council in the past as chairman of the board, I understand that, and I understand how it works. But I say, that's why I continue to say qualification and knowing things when it comes down to getting property. Hey, I know nothing as much as Malcolm knows about it, but he's qualified, and that's why I think it'd be good, because he understands it. But when it comes down to Houston Galveston Area Council, when it comes to USDA, TCEQ, and some other agencies that are involved that I've had experience with, community development block grant programs, I've had those experiences, and I know that they're available right now. And I know that there are ways and means of setting the things up, and Prairie View actually qualifies for that. But if we don't have the experience, we don't reach out to it because we just don't know.
Okay.
Yes.
And I was going to answer your question, Mr. Williams. I was going to answer your question. In regards to what you're saying as well, as far as the students being able to come back and know about what's going on in the future, again, what we need as a community and as a city is clear communication amongst each other, due diligence, as well as being vigilant. Now, they tell us everything that's going on within Prairie View or within the county as a whole. Prairie View seems to be a step behind sometimes just because there's a lot going on. But I go to Commissioner's Court nearly on a weekly basis. I miss every now and then, but I'm usually there. In Commissioner's Court, we are Precinct 3. Prairie View is a city within Precinct 3, although there are 4 different precincts in the county, as well as a county judge. There is so much development and building and other things going on within the county that Prairie View is not privy to or has little knowledge of unless we see it directly. But it's so much stuff just within our own precinct where money is being put into as far as developments, big time developments too. We seem to have a hard time with the apartment buildings, the high volume apartment buildings that we're bringing in. And I feel like we can put in better quality living, better quality housing, and still affordable housing. But we have to be able to work and stay on the same page with everybody else. Right now we're behind, and it seems like we're unaware, like you said, but we have to stay vigilant, as well as I plan on using my platform to be able to get that word out there so that residents and students know and understand that they're building a new apartment complex or a development off of 362 or off of James Muse. A lot of people are unaware of what's going on right here in Prairie View. The development that's going on off of James Muse, as far as them attempting to want to bring in big warehouse businesses or a 380 lot subdivision along James Muse. The residents aren't aware of that, so therefore they aren't able to prepare to know, oh, well, let's look into doing this or get an investment group to do this. So we need clear communication as well as due diligence from other citizens as well. These meetings that I'm going to are public meetings. Everybody can come, anybody can come. Like I said, I plan on using my platform to inform the public as well, but we need other people there as well.
So I got a question for you on that. Like, you talk about James Muse, right? I'm don't live in Prairie View, but I'm a little familiar with it. Would you, that area there, like if we get businesses in that area, do the income, let's say that there's a huge factory that's built, they build a huge factory there. Mm-hmm. Now, does that income from the tax money from those things come to Prairie View?
Well, again, it automatically affects Prairie View immediately. Just the fact that they're building in Prairie View affects us as far as economically, because people are spending dollars in Prairie View. The people have to work. They got to go out and eat and all the rest. However, the tax dollar will significantly help Prairie View, and as well as it will alleviate the property owner. Right now in Waller County, Prairie View has the highest tax rate in the county. We pay the highest tax rate, and we have no senior exemption, although this is a senior living town. So because of that, we need these businesses to come in to be able to help out the property tax, so maybe we can lower the rate. I don't want to say lower the assessment, but at least we can get the rate down a little bit. So these businesses are welcome to come to Prairie View, in my opinion, as well as us being a city. We need to mandate and work with these businesses that they will employ local citizens and local residents, whether it be in Prairie View, Waller County, Precinct 3. We need to make that demand and make that part of the agreement or compromise that you're bringing this big box company in, you're making 1,000 hires, at least 50% or 40% needs to be local hires, man. So that way you generate employment and you generate revenue right here within the city or right here within the local community.
Can I chime in on that, Mr. Scott, a little bit on that? That right, what he just mentioned is something that I'm concerned about right now. Accountability. Right now, we have companies that are in Prairie View, and we anticipate things coming in. Right now, I'm on Planning and Zoning Board Commission. Well, we have some plans right now being set up to come in. I think it's my belief, and the law is not locked in stone in terms of the way that we do things, but it just makes common sense to me that if we're getting ready to bring in any industry, anything, housing, whatever, if you have a planning and zoning commission, common sense will tell you that the first thing is if someone is coming in to build something in a city, and you're on a planning and zoning commission, even being the vice chairman of planning and zoning, as I am, some of the stuff that's coming in, I hear about it after the organization or the people come in to build, after it's done, and it's already in planning stages. So that's part of the problem that we have. We don't work together. I would never, as the mayor of the city of Prairie View, bypass planning and zoning when you have people with degrees in engineering on the board and have experience. But when you get the plans from the city hall, the way it's set up right now, and I'm not calling names, but it's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
You get the plans after it's already been pretty much approved and somebody's announcing, oh, we are coming, building soon. Well, planning and zoning never even talk to the people that are building soon. At least the planning and zoning as a mere communication. What good is it to have a planning and zoning commission, and when the commission gets the information after it's already set up and already been approved, per se approved, and it's second-handed? It's really unfortunate that we're set up like this. So we have to put some things, we're going to have to put, in order for Prairie View to be successful, the communication is definitely going to have to change regardless of who gets to the office. And I will continue, I promise you, I will continue to say just what I'm saying now, because until we do that, we will not grow.
Well, what I found out was I went to a meeting and I found out that the current mayor right now, he is in charge of, I guess, development, and they all have to go through him to get approved. And so that's probably why, they bypass the zoning and planning committee. And, it seems like, he has all the power in that. And I believe that's why you were not, or anybody was notified of these developments that you talk about, Ron.
Well, don't let me interrupt, but again, Mike, this is why I say we got to stay vigilant, man. Vigilant as a people, vigilant as a community, vigilant as a board. Yeah, Ron wasn't notified. And again, Ron is a regular citizen. But everybody sitting up there on the board, when you're a city councilman, man, I understand that it's an unpaid position, but you got to check in, come in on a daily. And if you can't come in on a daily, at least every other day, but you got to be able to come in, check in, and see what's going on so you can understand and learn what's going on. So if there are any issues, let's approach and address these issues now as opposed to waiting 2 weeks to the next Monday. Because I believe what goes on now is after we have city council on Monday, a whole 2 weeks go by of the mayor being able to just run the city as he sees fit because we're a strong mayor city. And then 2 weeks go by, everybody's shocked of what decisions was made or who we hired. But shouldn't any of this be a shock? Because you should have came in the next day after city council. You should have came in that next Wednesday. You should have been there that Thursday. You live here. The city is only 10 square miles across or whatever the case. So you should be in every single day, in my opinion, but at least every other day just to check in and know what's going on as opposed to, oh, we didn't know a thing. Again, in zoning and planning situation, those are residents in cities. The city should be notifying them that this stuff is going on, but somebody has to make the city accountable. I believe, again, that's where we as city council people can come in, me using my platform to hold the city more accountable to get that information out there for everybody else.
I'm going to ask you to educate me a little bit because I'm new to this stuff. What exactly do you mean when you say that there's a strong mayor? Does that mean that mayor can just make decisions without, any other signatures or any other approval? What does that mean? Not in all situations. And if Mike wants to explain it, he was on a charter committee. He may have a better understanding or have read more than I have in regards to what the strong mayor means or his ability or capabilities as a strong mayor.
Yes. Basically what it is that the way that the charter is set up now, that Frank Jackson pushed to have a home rule instead of a general rule. It's under a general rule, but it's a home rule constitution. And in that, the mayor has almost unlimited powers. He can do a lot of things. And if that mayor, is not, doesn't have, the citizens of Prairie View at the top of his mind, and if he wants to, do some things that benefit him and not the citizens of Prairie View, he can basically get away with that the way the charter is set up now. So when businesses come to Prairie View, they don't have to go to the planning and zoning committee. They just go to the current mayor now, and he makes the deal with them. And that's kind of what some of the problems is with that as well. And so that's what we're talking about now, is almost unlimited power that the mayor has in this city. And if some wrongdoing is done or anything like that, it's very hard to keep them accountable. And so when I was on the committee, the Charter Review Committee, to have more accountability and fairness in the system, that's why I was so adamant about getting the home rule charter changed to a more democratic decision making, where the council people have a little more power, and in that sense, the citizens of Prairie View have more power in our governance of Prairie View.
Mr. Leveret, how do you feel about that?
Well, I've said this, and I say this to the people as I move around the city to campaign. Even if the charter does not change, the charter gives the charter as it's approved now gives the mayor or his appointee the authority to run the city, like Mike was just talking about. Well, guess what? I would not, as having that authority, I promise almost everybody that I talk to that I'm not interested in running the city by myself. Why have a city council and try to run the city by yourself? Mm-hmm. When it fails, it's on you, if that's the way you do it. I would like to advertise or open it in a city council meeting, suggest each council member is responsible for certain, except if they accept it, I will hold, as a mayor, hold all of the city council members accountable to what they are assigned to do. We all live in different parts of the city. Even in the past, I have even recommended different people, citizens, to run for city council, even when we had general law city, a general law city, and suggested that they represent the people in their neighborhoods because they know what's going on. So bring something from your neighborhood that you see need to be fixed, and let's work on it and explain it to the council as it needs to be. I would never. And I also look forward to seeing local people. We have local lawmakers right here in this city that are sitting dormant. And why should we have somebody that knows the law, knows the city, knows the citizens, and they're sitting at home watching TV and have law background, and we not use them? We have people that are citizens of this city that are capable of writing proposals for grants, funds that we need, very, very knowledgeable of USDA. We don't use them. Mm-hmm. We need to use the people that are capable and have the knowledge and background and the skills to do what we're talking about. And I would not sit back just because I don't need to sit back. I would not sit back just to say I'm Ron Leveret and I'm running the city and I'm all of this. No, we're a city. It's not about an individual. It's not about a mayor. And it's not about me running around all over the place talking about I'm the mayor. Well, I've been the mayor before. Mm-hmm. So I understand what it's like being the mayor. And it's more than just doing it to develop a city.
But Mr. Leveret, I have a challenge for you. Sometimes when you do things that way, you get people who care more than others. And some people just don't really have that, what would you say, that heart to be able to come and do the things that you want to do when you need them to do it. And you're sitting around waiting on somebody's approval who may not care as much. But if you are working, if you're able to get a contract and you're able to get that signed without waiting on, 5 or 6 different people who may or may not care or may not be willing to put that much energy into it, you stalled.
You're correct. And guess what? That's where good leadership takes place. And when I say good leadership, that means that you recognize that early in the game, and you go out and find people that can do what you know that's to do. That's where leadership, that's where experience comes in, and that's where wisdom comes in, because you have to go through that in order to do that. Because it takes a while to learn the difference between failure and success.
And to comment a little bit off that, I feel like, again, we have to bring integrity, moral scruples. We have to bring all this into running the city. I would say politics, but that's kind of conflicting to bring scruples. But at the same time, we got to bring some type of integrity into the city, man. You know, like Ryan was saying, it has to go through the mayor. Like Mike was saying, everything has to go through the mayor. And, you know, even if the city council is somewhat vigilant and paying attention, the mayor can still just go off ahead and make a deal because the approvals are done by the mayor. However, we have to be more efficiently ran as a city, as well as how we do it, because efficiency saves us money. You know, like I said, I go to Commissioner's Court every week. And Commissioner's Court, they generally have 15 to 25 items on Commissioner's Court. However, their meetings last maybe 2 hours at the max. Your general meeting is 1 hour and 15 minutes. You come to Prairie View City Council, and our meetings are 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. And we got 10 items on the agenda. We need to be more efficient with the way we do it. Let's go ahead and get our city council on board. City council doesn't need to be getting the information at city council at the meetings. They need to have the information well before so they can be informed, have a little knowledge about what's going on, and then move forward like that, as well as any plans, any development, anything like that. Let's not just try to spring it on council, because it looks like a lack of transparency, like we were trying to get over when I just give it to you right now and ask you to vote on it right now. Let's go ahead and let's get it ahead. I noticed the Commissioner's Court, when they come to vote and they make a motion, everything is precise. They're everything is timely. They're not sitting on it and hanging on it with the small talk. But at the same time, they've already read about what the agenda item is. They already have an idea of supposed to have educated themselves on the agenda item, and therefore they may have discussion and they press a vote through. We're not lingering on it for 1.5 hours on one situation. And there goes your efficiency, which therefore saves you money, which therefore makes you money. So, you know, if we were more integral about how we conducted ourselves, we could be more efficient about how we work, and therefore we could progress a little bit better overall, as well as economically.
Okay, I have a question, and that'd be for both Malcolm and Ron Leveret. And this question is, one of my concerns is that Prairie View, I think, is the city of Prairie View is in a very unique position, because it kind of like supports a historically Black college and university. And, you know, I believe the city had a lot to do with furthering, you know, African Americans in their education and the city and stuff. And I was wondering what you guys would like to see put in place to, you know, honor past African Americans and their struggles, because in the United States, you know, there's not too many Black, I would say, jewels, because, you know, in Tulsa, Wall Street was, you know, destroyed. We know about Rosewood. And I was wondering, do you guys have any plans or thoughts about how to honor, you know, the legacy and the, you know, the contributions of African Americans in the city of Prairie View?
Can I? Is Charles Williams still on?
Yes.
Could you, Charles? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Charles, would you? He just made a statement. I'm gonna ask you to answer that one for me about a project that we got involved in And the reason that we got involved in this for the same reason that Mike is alluding to, and it's a former slave named Matthew Gaines. And Charles was very vigilant in pushing this idea even when he was in school. My thing is, belief is that if students, young African-American students, really understood their history, our history,
Yes.
knowing that an ex-slave was responsible for sponsoring the legislation that created under the Land Grant Act about the presence of Texas A&M University and Prairie View A&M University, both. Well, Matthew Gaines, a few months ago, was honored on the campus of A&M University with a statue. Well, Charles was involved in a project years ago when we tried to put a statue of Matthew Gaines on our campus so the African-American students could have a very good feeling about here's my ancestors. Here's somebody that looked like me, created not only the sponsored the bill that created Texas A&M University, but Prairie View as well. Wow, what a blessing. Well, guess what?
And
where is Prairie View in trying to do that? Because I believe right to this day, and that as far as I'm concerned, yeah, that's still one of my legacies, Charles, because right now they have unveiled a statue of Matthew Gaines on Texas A&M campus. Then why not Prairie View?
Right.
And I think it should be right. I think it should be right as you enter the campus. I think it should be right there. You enter the campus, you learn about the history of Prairie View, you learn about Matthew Gaines, because that's part of our legacy. It shouldn't necessarily be on somebody else's campus. Fine, if they want a statue there, but if that's like me saying, oh, I'm gonna park my car in somebody else's driveway and nobody knows it even belongs to me. This is somebody who helped this school get started where all of us could have a legacy. And we don't even honor the people who went before us. So how is anybody else going to have any respect for us? You know, we really need to start thinking about how do we celebrate people, just like people celebrate all the Harvard and those Ivy League schools. You always hear about their schools and how it ties into their communities. And that's the same thing we need to do at Prairie View. We need to really start thinking about what is this school all about? What is the purpose of this school and how it ties into the city of Prairie View? Because if I'm not mistaken, the school makes up probably more people at the school than in the city, if I'm correct, right? So you have to almost tie those students and have them involved because most of them are at least invested for at least 4 years in that community. But a lot of the students that I've spoken to since I left campus, they feel like there's nothing for them after classes are over with. There's no programs, there's nothing, there's no businesses. So they drive to Houston now.
Yeah.
And they take that money right out of the community.
Yeah, that's one of my concerns. And how to honor the legacy. Maybe Prairie View could have a museum or some type of historical African-American historical society at Prairie View, where there's statues or a museum or things that can not just educate the students of Prairie View, but anybody else. And I would love for it to either be on the campus or on the or somewhere near the campus where people would, where people could come by and really know their history. And so that's another one of my concerns as well. I totally agree with what you guys are saying on that.
Okay, we got about I want to say about 13, maybe 13 minutes left over.
Okay.
And I want to touch on something that's really kind of touchy here. But I wanted to mention it earlier, but I didn't want to get smacked down. Speaking of the students are able to vote on the mayor. They're able to vote on city officials and things like that. But at the same time, the students are not the taxpayers. How do you divide this? I mean, how do you deal with that? Because they're making decisions. If they're the biggest numbers, they're making decisions for the people who are actually paying taxes.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like to speak to
Go ahead and answer that, Brother Leveret. I respond after you.
I want you to piggyback on what to also elaborate on too. And Mike, you can too. See, that's one of the things that happened right now with the charter. Now, I have no, as a mentor, as long as I've been at Prairie View of students, I've mentored in terms of getting students involved. But see, if you go back and look at the home rule charter when it was first set up, when the other cities set up charters, even cities, like we use Texas A&M for an example, I doubt very seriously if there is a student on the city council. Now, and the students at Texas A&M can vote, but I don't think that there are any students that are on the city council, city government, for the city of Bryan College Station. However they vote, but it's the way that the charter was written. Mm-hmm. Well, to my understanding, when we wrote our charter, it was a boilerplate charter that basically Mike gave the mayor the authority or his appointee. He didn't have to appoint anybody. He could have appointed several people, but he didn't appoint anybody because the charter was written like that. Well, had the citizen known more about the charter, I think the citizen would have really come out in masses to try to change it, but it was a lack of education in the start. So we started out in the room. So my point is, there's nothing wrong with the student voting, but there's something has to be in the charter. And Mike, if you think about it, I think that's what you were working on when you were chairman of the charter of the committee. So that's the answer. I mean, that's part of the answer.
Well, what I like to say is that, this thing called no taxation without representation. And if the college students who are 70%, I guess, the voting population, and they decide for the City of Prairie View citizens projects and stuff like that will cost a lot of money. Since the students don't have to pay property taxes, then they're more willing to vote for things that could increase the tax burden for the citizens of Prairie View, and they could be swayed because it does not. There's no consequences to them financially, but there's consequences to the citizens of Prairie View. And so I think that I want the students, of course, to vote, exercise their rights, but I think that needs to be tweaked because I believe that if you pay taxes, you should have a more of a say since it's your money that they're using. But Malcolm, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give my response to that as well. As far as it goes, and this is where my issue is, I was a student on the campus 15 years ago. I was out there marching with everybody else trying to get voting rights, and I had no knowledge exactly what we were fighting for, but under the pretense that we're trying to get voting rights for the students, I was out there just like everybody else. Now, I don't disagree with the students voting. The students should be able to vote. However, we need more education on voting. What are we voting for? Why are you registering to vote? As well as we need better participation from the students. We get out here and we do all these fights and marches. We're on TV. You get these people that come out here and act like they support us, act like they understand what's going on. And in the end, it turns out to be a distraction because it doesn't reflect upon the hard work. Although we fought for the students to vote and fought for the students to be able to vote on campus, the numbers do not reflect upon the hard work. In the last 3 elections, we've had some of the lowest voter turnouts, and particularly on campus, than we've had almost ever. You know what I'm saying? And for it to work, here in Prairie View, we need greater participation from the students. That's on me. That's on every other city council person. But with me being a young person, I feel like I'll be able to relate to the students and be able to at least try to bring them in, educate them. But we cannot, as citizens, hang our head on the fact that, well, the students have all the voting power, because we can't utilize them when we want to and then just throw them away when we don't want to use them anymore. We can't use them for a countywide election and then say don't vote in the city, or we don't like it when they vote in the city. Because the other part to it is, we talk about economic 4B. The students' tax dollar is what makes up majority of our economic 4B. Them spending at that Chick-fil-A and at that taco stand or whatever it is up there on the campus now, the grill, that spending and that sales tax generates majority of the sales taxes here. You know, you got taxes from the small stores, but Prairie View's largest product in retail is the Swisher Sweet Cigarillo tobacco product. You get what I'm saying? That's not big money. That's $1 each. So it's not like it's big money being spent there. So the tax dollar that's being generated through economic 4B, majority comes from them students. So it's not like we can just say, oh, we don't want the students or we dislike the students. We need their help. We need their participation. We still need them buying into Prairie View. We need more participation as far as education. So that's how I feel as far as that goes.
Okay. Great. Now we just have a few minutes left over. And what I want to do is, so we're going to start with Malcolm here. What do you plan to do the first day you get into office?
Well, you know, thank the Lord that we're able to even see that day. Thank God that I'll be able to make it there, and I'll continue to give thanks to the man above. You know, I look forward to thanking the citizens of Prairie View, the people that supported me in Prairie View, the people that have high hopes for us. You know, we all working. As far as the first thing that I would love to do in Prairie View, man, I want to have a forum on taxes. We need to have a forum on taxes, property taxes, protesting our property taxes. Again, we have the highest property tax rates in the county, as well as the assessment on the property values have skyrocketed in Prairie View. We all have opportunity to protest our taxes. It is taxes season as far as property tax is concerned. We all need to turn in our property protests before the end of May. So I would love to have a forum sometime in the next coming week with all the citizens who would love to come out, and let's go ahead and work something out with your taxes, because we don't have a senior exemption. So let's at least try to alleviate it on the tax end by explaining to them that we lack a lot of infrastructure. So our taxes shouldn't be what we're paying. Mm-hmm. It should be lower than what we're paying. And I look forward to working with the citizens, and we working on tax as soon as I get in. That's the first thing we're going to do. First week, I'm looking to have a tax form. Let's get it done.
All right. Mr. Leveret?
Yes. Well, the first thing I would do is to assess what we have and where we are at the present time. Once we look at what we have and go through it to get with the proper qualified assistants to look at the assessments, and then to evaluate what we have based on where we are, and look at what the plans are that are needed to be done at present. Once that is done, then I think it's when I say we, I keep saying we because it's not up to the mayor, to me, and not alone to do it. I'll look to work with the city council to involve the council as the council pull the information from the citizens as to what is needs to be done within our communities. Once we do that, I look to execute the things that need to be done to bring the city into a better light, so that we can become the city that we need to be, and the city that we are capable of being. It's just, I'm just confused with the fact that all that we have and everything that we talked about, all this the entire time that we've been talking, why is Prairie View in the situation that we are in, when we have the brain power and we have the land to develop? Houston is moving through here. The highway is coming. The 290 development is coming directly down Highway 290. We need to plan better. The city council and the mayor the mayor need to lead the city council in planning. We don't have a plan. And we have to put a plan together. And I look to work with Malcolm and the rest of the council, because everybody on the council has something positive. It should have something positive to say. We should be able to have our own opinion about things. We should be able to work with the opinions that we have and make it work, because I know it can work. And I plan to use my experience and the things that I've done in the past to try to bring this up to the new day, to where we are now, and to move forward and make the city of Prairie View, or put the city in the Prairie View in the place that it can be, and we'll have a city that we can all be proud of.
Sounds good.
Well,
Mr. Leveret, let me ask one more question there, Mr. Leveret. And actually, you too, Malcolm. Just we got just a couple minutes, but we'll get to you, Mike. I want to ask both of you, how do you deal with bullies? Because you're going to have bullies. I guarantee you, you're going to have bullies. How do you deal with the bullies?
Bullets or bullies?
Bullies.
How do you deal with it?
Yes.
How would I deal with bullies?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think one bully can bully another bully. All bullies have plans, and the bully who has the best plan wins.
There we go.
All right, Malcolm.
Man, I can't give too much better answer than that. But stand up, man. That's how I feel like, as far as Prairie View, as far as the citizens, it's time to go ahead and stand up. Can't get pushed around anymore. You have to, project yourself and put yourself in position to where opportunities can come to us. So we can't get pushed around anymore. We got to stand up. We have to be vigilant. That would be one thing I say to quit being bullied around. Be vigilant. So there you go.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. Well, look like we're about done here. We want to thank Mike James, Mr. Leveret, Mr. Williams, Mr. Jackson. We want to thank all of you for showing up to PVI4U.org presents Forward, and we are going to move forward in life. We're just going to do what we have to do. So thank you very much.
May I say something in closing?
Yes, sir.
Today is my mother's 99th birthday.
Oh, congratulations.
All right. Happy birthday.
Wow. Yeah. Tell her happy birthday.
I got to say this because, 99 is a long time, and I called her this morning. We're going to celebrate her birthday.
Oh.
But I to say, I'm glad to be able to celebrate. Now, I told her, I said, I'm glad. I hope you saved me some.
That's great. That's great. Well, happy birthday. Happy
Tell
birthday.
her happy birthday from us.
From all of us.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, as a citizen of Prairie View, I'm definitely voting for Ron Leveret and Malcolm Jackson, because I think they're the best people for the position to move Prairie View forward.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it very much.
Appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks everybody for me, on behalf of all the citizens, thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Very welcome. Thank you for being here.